What's up? This is Weeknights. We are back once again on this Tuesday night, Tuesday evening.
It's
And yeah, Tuesday evening. It's not really night yet. But yeah,
close
we're
to
back once again with a little less drama than yesterday, hopefully. But we're back. I'm just glad I'm not the only one mad at J. Cole because the internet has been reacting to it.
yeah. I was listening to a podcast today, and I was listening to Higher Learning, and Van Lathan just was very disappointed.
Yep.
Said J. Cole is one of his faves, and he's very disappointed in him.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
What's interesting is that I'll just say this, and then we can move on. What's interesting is that Rachel said that, oh, I totally understand. Like, he came back, he spoke about his mental health and his journey and whatever. And shouldn't we just respect? We're always talking about, Black men and their mental health. And shouldn't we just respect his decision?
But
She's
then he
also
never
a
said put it
Kendrick
out.
fan, by the way. Like, she said if she had to pick, Kendrick would be her choice.
Well,
So,
that's fine, but he shouldn't put it out if that was the case.
agreed.
Can't put it out and then 2 days later, sorry, y'all. Anyway, we did it yesterday.
We did it, but I
Um,
just wanted to say, I just thought that was really interesting. But yeah.
yeah, it's weird, but I got you. All right, so I'm JD, aka He Who Pods,
I'm
aka
Jazz. There's a
I
new AKA. I'm sorry.
was gonna say aka Ring Light in the Glasses,
You good.
Ring Light Reflector.
We can only really see it when you lean back and show us.
You know what I mean? Look up.
Right. Like otherwise
I'm
can't
gonna
really
do this
see.
randomly just to mess with the audience,
Oh, yeah. Just not thinking of your co-host who has to look at it. It's fine. Totally fine. Just yep. Yeah.
Anyway, you were introducing yourself. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I'm Dash, aka Dashing D. I'm just Dash today.
Olive.
I don't want to go through all the things.
It's all
Um,
good. That's your right as an American citizen.
yeah, it's a lot. So we got some things to talk about today. Let's start with good news.
Good news.
Yeah, let's start with good news. We don't really have bad news today, but
Well, that's debatable,
I don't think
but
so.
we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Hmm.
So, uh, context. Nicki Minaj went online and thanked her fans for some data that came out because the data shows that her Pink Friday 2 tour has been extremely successful. And so Nicki took to the internet to thank her fans.
Yeah.
We're not going to play that audio, but we will read the data here. According to touring data, they posted on Twitter 3 tweets and tagged Nicki Minaj. They read as follows. Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday 2 officially becomes the most successful tour by a female rapper in history with $34.9 million from 220,000 tickets sold in its first 17 shows. That's one of the tweets. Another tweet says, Nicki Minaj becomes the female rapper with the most concerts earning over 2 million in ticket sales each. 11. Meaning 11 shows. 11
She's gone on 11 tours.
no, meaning 11 different dates.
Um,
Meaning 11 different shows in one night. I don't mean that she performed 11 times in one night. I mean on 11 separate nights, she did over 2 million in ticket sales
okay.
each of those 11 nights.
Okay.
And then the third one says, Nicki Minaj earns the highest grossing concert by a female rapper in history with $2.858 million
Hmm.
at Madison Square Garden in New York on March 30th, 2024. And so that night, she broke the record for any concert for a woman rapper and did almost 3 million in sales that night.
That's amazing. And that's a flex.
This is gangster. I'm
I'm
gonna keep
happy
my
for
specs
Nicki.
on because I got more to read, but this is gangster.
I'm happy for Nicki. I'm glad this happened. Um, Especially because I feel like Nikki's been her insecurities have been on full display
Mm,
in the last couple of years. I think that some of this I think that as an artist, I'm not saying as humans we don't always need to be the ones. People need to do their inner work in order to address their insecurities, all of that jazz. We could have that conversation. However, I do think as an artist, sometimes, and I think Nikki tells us that she needs that validation.
okay,
So I'm glad she's getting it. I feel like Nikki, we've talked about this before. We've talked about the fact that Nikki doesn't always feel respected. Nikki doesn't feel
correct,
like she's considered when there's conversations happening about top rappers.
correct.
And I think that she also feels like she's been overshadowed by all of the new talent that has come out in the last several years. I think she does. Whether she, I don't think it manifests itself in, oh, you know, these girls are better than me or you guys care about them more than me. But I think that Nikki does a lot of, hey guys, over here, don't forget about me. I'm the queen. I'm this, I'm that. I think Nikki does that a lot. And I think it's because Nikki is worried that she's being forgotten. And she feels like people don't put respect on her name. And what better way to show people, hey, I am that girl, I am the shit, I do get the job done, than to see stats like this. So I'm excited for her because I feel like, I feel like again, she's clearly been in a state of feeling like, she's not appreciated or people don't really pay attention to how much she has done. So this is a good way for everybody to see without her having to tell us. This is a good way for everybody to see that Nikki is still a top contender in the game. That's it. I just feel like, good for her. Good for her. I feel like she's been looking for something that she could be like, this is a flex, okay? And yeah.
I'm just trying to see what the sales were on on her current album, but I'm not finding the data I really want here. I have a totally different take here. So this is interesting to me. First, I think that, well, I guess I agree with some stuff and disagree with other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when it comes to Nicki has been around so long that it's easy to say that there's a new queen or that there's a new best woman rapper,
Mm-hmm.
artist. I don't like the term rapper, artist, uh, when there are so many of them coming out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so everyone who comes out in hip hop, it's a lot about bravado and a lot about showmanship.
Yeah.
We all, not we all, many people are going to come out and say, hey, I'm the best. Hey, ain't nobody fucking with me. Hey, I got the biggest hive. And I think what happens is
Mm-hmm.
Nicki sometimes feels like she has to remind those other ladies that are saying that actually no, you don't. You don't have the biggest hive. Actually, you're not number one in sales. Actually, you didn't have the best first week sales or whatever the claims are when they come out.
Yeah.
I think that's what she feels in her mind and in her heart. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying this is what I take on what I've seen Nicki do. Now, I'm not saying Nicki doesn't throw tantrums. She does. I'm not
Oh,
saying
that
Nicki
didn't
doesn't
pay
do.
attention at all. I didn't
No, no,
even
no. I know.
use
I'm
that term.
speaking. I'm speaking from my POV though. I'm saying I think, yeah, she throws tantrums. She goes on some rants that we don't really need or want. But I think that people often forget that Nicki has been around pretty much 20 years now. I don't know when Nicki first came out on mixtape and stuff, but let's just say that Drake's first album came out in like '06, '07, if I'm correct. And or maybe even 2010. We can find out. But my point is Nicki was already out at that time. I'm
I was,
sorry.
I was saying I don't think it was later than 2009.
I'm gonna check right now.
It might have even been 2009.
Yeah, let's look at Drake's first album and see what year that dropped. I don't know off the top of my head, but we got answers. So Drake's first album came out in 2010. Thank Me Later came out in January 1st, 2010, according to this Spotify chart here. Um, Nicki was already around. So, okay, maybe I'm putting too much on her. Maybe not 20 years, but even 14 years, right? Let's say that she came out in 2010. I know she was around before that. But let's just say, for argument's sake, 2010, because I don't know exactly when Nicki really was first coming out, right? But even if it was '09, let's just say '09, yo, it's 2024. Nicki has been doing a phenomenal job as an artist since then. Since then, we saw Nicki shoot to the top. And you could say what you want about her career, but who has really toppled her, right? And there have been some interesting things that have happened during her career. A lot of people say when Nicki first came out, there was no competition. That even her and Little Kim's back and forth happened when Little Kim was pretty much not putting out music. Cool. But over the years of artists coming in, regardless what artists, I don't want to name other women artists, but regardless what other women artists have come out and done what people feel is their meteoric rise, Nicki has still stayed relevant. Nicki has still done numbers in record sales, and Nicki has still had a huge impact on the game. Now, there's some asterisks. I'll admit that. There's a couple of asterisks, like all the pop stuff and the singing, but I don't know if you could use that asterisk against Nicki because a lot of the other women rappers do the same stuff. Lots of other women rappers who sing and who do pop records. So I don't know if we can hold the same asterisk against her if the field is doing the same things. And so I think what happens is Nicki hears all of the chatter, all the women coming out and saying, I'm the best, I'm the flyest, nobody can mess with me, I got the best sales. And she says, oh, but y'all don't. And I think y'all need a reminder sometimes. And so where Jay-Z did a terrible sounding hook, a great song with a terrible sounding hook called Reminder, I think Nicki takes to Twitter and Instagram and videos and tweets to say, here's my reminder. I think that's what happens. I think people say, oh, Nicki fell off. Nicki's not the best. Nicki is no longer relevant. And I think very often we see Nicki saying, but check the data, because that's not exactly correct. Here are my first week sales. Here's what my last album did. Here's what my merch did. Here's what my bundles did. All the different things that she's saying. And I think that we see that in impact, in record sales, in consistency. I mean, I'm not a huge Nicki fan, but I know Nicki always drops music. I mean, I don't think we never saw, oh, Nicki didn't drop music for 7 years. She's always got stuff coming out. So it's not like she's been inconsistent for the 14 years. She's been putting out music very consistently for the 14 years, and it's done well. It's impacted a lot of other artists. And I understand why she and her fans say that a lot of artists follow her blueprint. Now, whether you think all of that is true or not, total different conversation. I'm just saying that I think this is what happens in Nicki's eyes. I think Nicki sees all of this stuff and says, wait, but why are they saying they're the best? Wait, but why are they saying they have all the record sales? Wait, but why are they saying I fell off? Let me just show them that these things are still true. And now what I like the most is this current situation. Assuming that this data is true. We only have one source that says it. So I don't know if this is true or not. But let's just say it's true. This is what I like. I like that, hey, Nicki don't gotta say shit. The numbers are speaking for themselves. Now, I'm saying that today in 2024 because today that's much of the conversation in the entertainment industry. Who's got the Billboard number ones and who's got the record sales first week? And this is what the industry talk is today. As a fan, that's never been what I go to decide to determine who I think is better or worse or the best or the greatest. I think that those conversations need specific metrics that are decided before the conversation starts, right? So if we're going to say who's the greatest R&B singer of all time, well, then we got to decide what metrics we're using, because very often record sales, for example, is not the answer that most of us think. For a long time in rap, the number one guy with record sales was Eminem. There was no competition until very recently when Outkast took that down, and they have the number one rap album ever sold in history as far as numbers. But I'm only saying the number stuff because today that's a lot of what is discussed.
You don't think that mattered before? I mean, I've always heard people talk
Um,
about people charting on the Billboard charts. Hasn't that always been a thing? I don't think that's. You think that's
um,
you think that's just a today thing? I think that's always
no, no,
been.
no. I don't think it's just today. I think it's more today. I think today, because the artists, the labels, and the blogs are constantly putting this stuff out, it's something that the casual fan even knows. Like, if you were a huge Jay-Z fan, you would know, oh, this album did 5 million. This album did 2 million. This album only went gold. But the casual fan wouldn't know that. They would just know, oh, yeah, Big Pimpin' was my shit. That came out last summer. Oh, the summer after that, such and such was my song. That was the shit. But they didn't know like if it charted or where it charted. And even like me, who was a big Jay-Z fan as a teenager, I didn't know what his Billboard numbers were. I might know the album sales, like I might know Volume 2 did 5 million. And that was the mainstream, that was the record that took Jay-Z to mainstream appeal. But I didn't know what it did with Billboard numbers. Like I never was looking for that. And I don't think that information was just a Google search away back then because there was really no internet back then. So I think as social media has grown and fans are able to speak to their the artists they're fans of, and artists are able to speak to their fans, and the blogs and all of these things are kind of more communicative. I think that that has kind of changed the game too, right? Where you could say, "Oh, I don't even know what the name of so and so's last album was, but I see that everyone is tweeting that it's number one on Billboard. I guess I got to go give it a listen now." Because I would never know that. Like, I would never know what Taylor Swift's numbers were. I don't listen to Taylor Swift, but I know that because I see it. It's all over the internet when it happens. So it's, oh, Taylor Swift's movie did blah, blah, blah. Like right now, the last couple of weeks, I'm only using Taylor Swift as an example because I don't follow her and I'm showing this as a supporting argument. I don't follow anything about Taylor Swift. I don't follow her. I don't know her music like that. And that's not a diss. It's just not what I listen to. But I know that she was on the Forbes list for the first time.
Mhm.
Why? Because it was all over the internet that Taylor Swift is now a billionaire and she made the Forbes list. So that's everywhere. So how could you not see it, right?
You didn't learn that from Hardly Minding My Business.
I did not. You know what I'm saying? So
I kept
what I'm
my Forbes list very black.
yes, you did, which I appreciate. But point being, I'm not even a Taylor Swift fan, and I know that now. So that's what I'm saying. The casual fan or somebody who was not a quote unquote diehard fan, somebody who's not in the hive or whatever you want to call it, they didn't know that back then. And even the diehard fans, you had to kind of look for some of this information. Today, they tweet it right out. When Meg went, I think it was Hiss that went #1 on Billboard. Meg tweeted it. Atlantic Records tweeted it. The
Yeah.
blogs were tweeting it. Everyone wrote articles saying it happened. You don't got to be a Meg fan to know that. So I think today that is more prevalent, more common than
It's more
ever
accessible,
before.
right?
That,
I was gonna say, yeah, it's more accessible. I think before you'd
yeah,
probably have to like pick up a newspaper to find something like that, or a magazine,
right.
um, to
And you
find
might
out
have to
information
find a
like that.
specific magazine
Yeah,
because just
it
picking
wasn't
up the
just
New York Times, you're very likely not going to see blasted across the front cover of the New York Times, uh, Jay-Z Volume 3 goes double platinum.
right.
No,
There
that's
might be a
if
section
that's
of
in the
that,
newspaper,
but
it's way, way in the
in the
back, and the
it's in
article
the
is
music,
like this big.
right?
Yeah,
So
so you might have to go buy like a Rolling Stone or XXL or The Source or a niche specific thing where today you just open up your phone and it's all over.
right,
Back
but
then, it was more of those. It was, I'm sorry, I'll let you go. It was more about the metrics, right? So you would say, like, hey, Jay Z's the best. Why is he the best? I'm using Jay Z as an example. I don't think he's the best. But you would say Jay-Z is the best. Okay, Dash, why is Jay-Z the best? Well, he's really lyrical. He's got versatility. He drops every year. You would say these metrics, which would support why you felt he's the best. And then someone would come and say why they thought someone else was the best based on similar or the same metrics.
mhm,
Record sales was usually, honestly, in like real diehard hip hop fans, before that was like the scapegoat. It was like, all right, that's that's like the last ditch effort. Excuse me, not the scapegoat. It was like the last ditch thing. When it's like clearly the guy I'm saying is better than the guy you're saying is better, then niggas will come and be like, yeah, but he got more record sales though. And everybody be like, nah, get out of here with that record sales shit, man. But today, it's a totally different game.
yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Um, I mean, in terms of Nikki, though, I think that I don't know. I guess I just thought a lot about things that we've talked about in the past, where she kind of comes out and goes on these rants about all the things she's done and all the things she's accomplished, and to me, it's very much, uh, you know, like she's to me she's shouting something that exists. She's shouting something that we know. I think we've even said here before, like, Nikki, we know that, like, we're not uh, we weren't questioning whether you were as good as you are, or whether you've made as much money, or had as many awards, or you know what I mean. Like, I don't think that it always feels like when she comes out and makes these lists and things and that she does on her lives and whatever, it feels like she thinks that it's not clear, or it comes off more like this is not really your job to come out and list all the things that you're good at, right? Because the information is out there. You're revered as someone important to hip hop, someone who is important to female rap. So that's what I mean when I say that I feel like, her insecurities come out and need to be validated, because she often comes out and is trying to say, well, I did this and I did this and I did that. And I understand what you're saying about, maybe it's that she's just trying to shut down other artists who are talking about they're the best, or they're this or they're that. But I don't know. Yeah. Just
I mean,
No.
I see both sides. I don't disagree with what you're saying. That's why I said some stuff I agree, some stuff I disagree. Um, I think it's a challenging spot to be in. I think that when people are coming out and saying, if somebody said, "Man, I'm the best boxer in all of the United States,"
Mm-hmm.
and they've been boxing, killing shit for 14 years. Yeah, your record comes out and all these other things, but when five, six other people are saying, "No, I'm the best," well, now what? Now we either got to fight each other because it's boxing, so it's fighting, right?
Yeah.
Or we gotta do something to clearly prove that we're better. Maybe fight the tougher fighters, right? Maybe fight the people they avoided or change weight classes. Like there's boxers who have changed their weight class just to be able to fight tougher fights and more people and win more belts. Point being is they do other shit to prove they're the best.
Yeah.
I think this is the modern day other shit. And I want to say congratulations to Nikki, which we haven't said, because this is all dope stuff. These are great stats. If they are true, again we're assuming they are. Um, and also I think her fans have shown and prove big time what she's been saying this whole time. Because if that wasn't the case, how would we get these numbers?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to say maybe she's not easy because it's Madison Square Garden, but it sounds easy to say I sold out in my hometown, but not at 11 different venues. Like that's not easy to do that at 11 different venues or break record sales for 17 shows. You know what I mean? Like I think that this is proving some of the things that she's saying beyond the record sales and the other things. I think that this is showing I do have the big fan base. I'm still I'm still relevant. I'm still able to put out good music because if you look at the run Nicki's been on from right before her project dropped
Mm-hmm.
until now in the tour, and I don't think the tour is over either. But during this time, Nicki's been on fire. I mean, she may not be doing a ton of press and interviews, but we've been seeing, like you said, on TikTok, all the people still doing her shows. We're seeing all these sold out shows. We see her record sales. When she was dropping the single records every couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
that later became the deluxe. Those things were going crazy on the internet. They were trending topics. And so I think Nikki is showing y'all now without really saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything I've been saying, here it is. Here's the proof. Here's the pudding, as we used to say.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, congrats to Nikki. Very
Congrats
happy
to
for her.
Nikki.
Um, yeah, who knew we were gonna have a debate? I love it. Uh, all right, now that we took half hour, um,
Do you want to just skip to the last topic and we could do the other one tomorrow?
sure. So let me pull up the article here because I had another article pulled up. Uh,
Well, you want me to cue it up?
Chew it up.
So, the moment we have all been, that sounds weird to say, but something that we
It's
have
kind of true
all,
though.
something that we have all been, waiting at the edge of our seats to find out how it would turn out. We know that Jonathan Majors was, um, what was he? Do you have that? We know that
That
Jonathan Majors was supposed to be sentenced this week for the conviction. I
he was
don't remember what
convicted
the
of
conviction.
misdemeanor assault.
Exactly. He was convicted of misdemeanor assault. And so the sentencing kept getting pushed back. And finally, it happened yesterday. And he received probation and he's on probation. I don't know for how long, but he has to attend domestic violence counseling for a year.
Yep.
So no jail time. A lot of people speculated that he was going to get up to 5 years, I think, of jail time. And that is not the case here. He will be able to do his counseling and his probation, and that will be that. So, really interesting to me.
Yep. I mean, no need to really read the article anymore.
Oh, sorry. I thought there was more in the article that.
I really know. It says he faced up to a year after being convicted of misdemeanor assault.
See, that was wrong.
And huh?
I said, see, I was wrong. I said 5.
Well, once convicted, a misdemeanor is a year or less. A felony is a year and a day or more.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it says no jail time. Sentenced to probation.
Booty is right by his side.
Megan Good was with him. Yes, that is absolutely correct.
Yep, they were hand in hand, as lovers do.
He must continue therapy. Uh, I heard what you said. I'll get to you in a second. Um, the judge also awarded Jabari, that's the ex-girlfriend,
Uh-huh.
a protection order that Majors has to pay $250 for. Who cares? Judge Gaffey, rejected an 11th hour attempt to have the criminal charges against Majors dropped on April 1st. I saw a statement from Majors' lawyer.
I'm just thinking he could have used that $250 for his dry cleaning because you know he need to iron his clothes.
That's his style, man. Stop
That's
hating.
not
Some
wrinkled is
people don't
not a
iron.
style.
That's his. I'm telling you, he's gonna have a linen deal real soon. I'm telling you, watch.
Linen is the thing that wrinkles the most.
That's my point. So that's the deal. Don't worry. Watch. Remember, I called it. Anyway, it says here his lawyer said Majors is, quote, committed to growing as a person and
Oh,
will complete the court mandated programs, quote, with an open heart, even as he maintains his innocence and plans to appeal.
okay.
She said he's lost his whole career.
Well, I wish him
I
luck.
believe it's a she, his lawyer. Let me just double check that.
I wish
With a
him luck.
name like Pryor, I'm pretty sure it is. No, man, I just want to see the person. Yeah, it's a woman. I was right. There you have it. Now I can take these off. So, yeah, man. What say you?
I wish him luck on his future endeavors.
Ah, we're not gonna unpack this.
I mean, I don't know what there is to unpack. I don't. He was convicted of something. He was sentenced.
Yeah.
I don't know. This story has never made sense to me.
Okay.
Um, it's never made sense. Like some of it, to me, to say what I deduced from everything that we've been told is counterproductive to where we are now.
Okay.
At this point, he has been convicted of something, he has been sentenced for it.
Okay.
So, what I think, my opinion of his behavior, or my opinion of what type of man he may or may not be, is is irrelevant.
Okay.
I don't want to sit here on my soapbox and talk about, the nuance that happens when people are convicted of crimes or when people are deemed innocent of crimes, because the law allows for certain parameters. The law does not consider nuance. It does. I shouldn't say that, right? It does, right? When you're sitting in a courtroom, it's the nuance that lawyers are trying to convince you with, right? But what I mean is that we can't. I'll say this, not about Jonathan Majors, but just about people being proven innocent or guilty. You could be proven. There are people in prison right now who didn't do the thing they were convicted of doing.
True.
And I'm sure adversely, there are people who never got convicted of crimes they actually committed.
Yes.
So the law is what it is. And, I don't for me to sit here and continue to speculate about what may or may not happen is just it would be in dispute of our legal system, and I'm not in a position to do it, nor do I think that I should. I think that that would do this conversation a disservice, and that's why I'm saying I wish him luck. Like, whatever comes of his life now, I hope that this hasn't ruined his life. I hope that if they put him in counseling for a reason. So I hope that this does help to rehabilitate him and whatever anger issues or whatever issues he has with domestic violence. I hope that those things are realized and resolved.
All right. Do you think that this was too soft of a sentence?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you think?
For what he did, then I guess no, because it's up to 1 year, right? It's not,
Well,
doesn't
he got
have to.
no jail time. It
He
could
got
have.
no jail time.
It could have been prison up to a year. He
Right.
got no jail time. He got okay. So no jail time, probation, and a year of counseling.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to send anyone to jail. Like that, you know what I mean? Like that's
Does
there
this
are
count as
there are
reparations?
well, there's also that. But there's certain cases, right? There's certain people who like deserve to be in prison and like deserve to be put under the jail. I'm not saying that those people don't exist. I don't have a
Okay.
blind spot for them. Trust me, there are people who I've wished that's exactly where they go. With this was so confusing, and this was so emotionally taxing
Okay.
because we had just started. Maybe that doesn't make sense to people, but we had just really like Jonathan Majors was on a high and he was on a wave when this happened.
Yes.
So a lot of us were invested in him
Yes.
and his
Yes.
success.
Yes.
So that's what I mean when I say it's emotionally taxing. It has nothing to do with me. And I will go and I will sleep at night and I will not think about Jonathan Majors. But when we're talking about people who love film and love television and we invest ourselves in some of the people who play these characters like we did with Jonathan Majors, you don't know, like, on one hand you're like, gosh, I don't want this to be true, and I don't want his career to be over, but also I understand the nuance of, hey, there were a lot of details of this case that didn't really make sense. There were also a bunch of women that came out and said they've had similar experiences with him. So for me, it's complicated because it's like, I already know what I'm supposed to say here. Like, it's fucked up to sit here and be like, oh, this black man should be in trouble for XYZ when I don't even really understand what happened. It's not clear to me. Even the video is super confusing. Of course, we all came up with our own assessments of what happened, our own interpretations of what happened, but we don't really know. And that's never been realized. And all you can do when you go to court is lay out the facts, lay out what happened, and then there's some decision that happens that we all have to reconcile and be okay with. So I don't know if this is the right sentence for him. A year of domestic violence counseling, does that stop you from manhandling women? Does that stop you from slapping them across the face? Like, I don't know. I don't know what happens. Like, I don't know if that's enough. Is a year of domestic violence counseling enough for you to not do something like that again? I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I'm stumped when it comes to this.
Got it.
So,
What about his acting? Do you think that, for example, now that this is a light sentence and a light verdict, um, as opposed to what it could have been, right? It could have been
mhm,
years and years of prison time.
yeah.
I'm talking about from the initial court proceedings, not the verdict, right? Do you think that some of these projects that dropped him will pick him up? Do we think now he will be at least one of the Kangs in the, Avengers movie?
I don't know. And here's why.
Okay, talk about it.
Okay, so I think that he will be hired again. I don't think that he will never have a job in Hollywood. But I think that certain brands will not touch him, at least for a long time. I understand that we always have complicated conversations about Disney because Disney uh, has kept people on payroll and has hired people who we've been like, oh, well, that person had this situation happen, or, you know, but he is also a black man in America, and the cards just aren't dealt the same way. We know that. So I don't think I don't necessarily think he'll get the same types of jobs he used to get, or with the same companies that he used to get them.
Okay.
But I think there is room for him to rehabilitate himself, to rehabilitate his career, at least in some way, shape, or form. I don't think it'll ever be the same. It's kind of like we talk about with Chris Brown. He still had a career for however long, but it hasn't been the same career we thought he was going to have. So I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen with Jonathan Majors. I don't think that Jonathan Majors is going to be able to be as picky as he probably once was about the roles that he takes.
Okay.
Um, I think he's probably going to have to allow a rebuilding of trust. And I think he also needs to be very careful about what he does moving forward. This should, if counseling doesn't rehab him, at the very least, let's hope that um, losing all that he lost was sobering to him, and that maybe stops him from uh, doing things that maybe are unfavorable or could come out in the public that we all would have to look at him with a side eye. You don't want that to happen, because the more you continue to pile on these different instances and these different events, you continue to chip away at the trust that is already broken with the public.
Yeah, I agree. It will tarnish your brand like we have seen with Chris Brown. I agree with that. I gotta be honest. I still want to see him play Dennis Rodman.
I thought that would have been a really good role, but didn't they drop him already?
They dropped him, but I hope they pick him back up like a bouncing basketball. You feel what I'm saying? Just be like,
Maybe,
Val, I got that. Let's go.
maybe they
Like,
will. I mean, listen again. I'm not sitting here saying that he shouldn't work.
no,
And
no,
I
I
think,
didn't. It didn't.
and I
I
think
didn't
it's,
think it came across like you did.
and I think it's even harder now, because what do you go back and do after you listen? When you okay, he wasn't convicted of a felony. He was convicted of a misdemeanor, but we don't know what that looks like when you go to apply for a job now, right? So
Right.
I just I don't want to see anybody like down and down bad and can't work, or you know, but I don't know. I
I
just hope I
understand.
never hear anything like this about him again.
I hope that. Honestly, I wouldn't appeal. I understand why he would want to, but I think let it just be. It's over. Do your counseling, do your probation, and keep it moving. Work on repairing your brand, your image,
Hmm.
and your career. That would be my advice if I was a close friend. I would say, man, fuck that appeal. Focus on the other things.
Hmm.
You know, keeping that fake relationship together, maybe. But
You don't think their relationship is real?
no, I've said that since day one.
I just, I don't know.
I think it's like when Michael Jackson was dating
Lisa Marie
what's
Presley?
yeah, come on, man.
I only ask that because I just feel like, why would you? I guess for a check you would. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't
hey.
know. Because she has an image too.
But what's her image?
Good girl, always been. I mean, she was married to right before she got with Jonathan Majors. She had just gotten a divorce from her pastor husband. Like,
Well, and maybe that's part of
this
this,
point,
right? That there's
that
no
was
way you could be the victim. No, the opposite. That there's no way he could be this bad boy criminal because she only dates the good men. Good only dates good.
if, if only that were the truth. If only you actually believed what you just tried to
Maybe
tell.
that's part of the spin here. Like, maybe the publicist said, "Hey, Megan Good only dates good guys. Go get Megan Good to be your girlfriend for a couple months." That's all.
I mean, I think she's tried to like, because I think that started when she was young and she was still a child actor. So I think over time she has tried to, establish her womanhood, establish the fact that she's sassy and sexy and all of those things. I'm not saying she's not any of those things, but I do think that there is kind of this idea of her that is more leaning towards the good side than, oh, she's gonna get with the guy who beats women. It's so bizarre. It's such a bizarre thing, I think, for a lot of people to think
But
about.
that's what I'm saying. So that's part of the image of then he doesn't beat women because she would never be with him.
Right.
The
Right. No, you're
perfect
right.
sale. I think that's part of the sale. I think we see a breakup probably summertime. It's April,
You think
probably
so?
over the summer. Yeah, a lot of people break up over the summer. They don't make it into the fall. But this is not that kind of podcast. For more of that, tune into Dashing D's solo podcast, the Hardly Minding My Business podcast. However, I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he is able to bounce back. I hope he is able to take on other roles. Clearly, he was on a trajectory to be an A-list actor, B-list actor. I don't know if that's still possible. I
Mm-hmm.
know he had the acting chops to do so.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him in different roles. I would like to continue to see him challenging himself as an actor and doing different types of roles. I would also like to see him continue in Hollywood in some capacity. In some capacity. Because I think he's a talented guy. I don't think he's going to have the same push from the powers that be that he was getting. Uh, at least not now. He needs a cooling off period, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. was supposedly shit out of luck, and Hollywood was done with him. And then he did Iron Man, and look where he is today. He just won an Oscar for Best Supporting Role. So, things can change, but you have to put in the work for them to change, right? And so he should be careful with the women he surrounds himself with and what he does with those women, because whether you believe that he physically assaulted someone or not, we all saw him shove her into the car. And you can't just pick bitches up and shove them in a car. Sorry.
And every
Can't just be like, get in there, bitch. Just can't do that. Sorry.
and every woman isn't lying.
I'm not saying women are lying. I'm
I'm
saying
not.
I'm
No. No. No.
saying
No. I'm not.
even
No. No.
if
No. 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 No.
I'm saying even if he
I'm
never did
adding.
hit a woman.
But I'm adding to what you're saying. I'm not saying you were saying otherwise. I'm adding to it, and I'm saying, and every woman isn't lying. Like it's just I think there is an assumption that there's like this high percentage of women who lie about these things, and it's not nearly as high as people think it is.
Oh, I don't think that.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you think that. I'm just saying that there is, because surrounding this, it was, oh, this was a white woman who tried to put him in a position to, be arrested by the cops and to have all of this happen. There's
And
definitely
not let him be Malcolm.
right. There's definitely a narrative around this conversation that we didn't really get too much into, but there is a narrative around this conversation that, there's some dishonesty when it comes to women in these types of situations. So that's the reason I say that, because I
I
think
understand.
I think it also guides the narrative sometimes and the way that people look at it. And a lot of people were ready and very quick to jump to his defense. And I understand the urge to want to protect, especially someone you consider one of our own. but there's always two sides to a story. So,
3 sides, in the words of Joe Budden.
sure.
It's a great song. 3 sides to a story.
Mhm.
Anyway, no, what I'm saying is I'm not disputing that. I'm talking about moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm saying moving forward, even if you never hit a woman again
Mhm.
or never did, whatever you want to call it, you also can't just shove women into cars
No, you
and
can't.
physically lift them and shove them in cars. So he has to
It's
be
not gonna work. Yep.
cognizant of who he's around,
Yeah.
his surroundings, and the positions he puts himself in, right? Because you could run away, and we saw you running away for blocks and blocks. It looked like you've still been keeping up with your boxing training and doing your road work. That looked awesome. But what didn't look awesome was us
Yeah.
seeing him lift her and shove her in the car. And so I'm saying that moving forward, you can't have more of those moments, i.e., the Chris Brown example, right? Like,
Mhm.
you can't keep doing things publicly that are going to cause problems. And today you can't do them privately either because we've got phones and recording devices of audio and video and different measures. And so, listen, man, at this point, I think today
Mhm.
things are hard and things are going to be hard for a while, but I think he can still maneuver
Mhm.
and make strides. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's a cap. I don't know if he's going to be blackballed. We'll see how things play out. I hope not.
Right.
Um, but I hope that he continues to think about his brand, his career, his image, his reputation moving forward.
Well, as long as he's got making good on his side, it's going in the right direction, right?
She's out of here. She's out of here. If I was making good, I'd be like, listen, as soon as my contract with this shit ends, I'm out. Because you know she had to sign some kind of NDA paperwork situation.
If I broke up with my pastor husband, anyway, never mind. We don't need to talk about what I would do.
No. Tune into Hardly Minding My Business weekly, where Dash describes those types of things in detail.
All right, well, they're drilling again, so it's time to
This
end
has
this.
been Weeknights. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know your thoughts in the comment. And shout out to everyone who has been commenting, has been liking, and has been subscribing. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you.
And good night.